What is going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today we're going to talk to you about SoFi. I want to go over some of the current data points, break it down on what really moves SoFi, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So SoFi did have a pretty epic day. Actually, the whole market did in general. So SoFi did close 5.06% in the green, 641 the low, 671 the high. So very positive stuff. And looking at the volume, 27.5 million shares being traded, 42.08 is the average. So a little bit low from that. And based on the institutional transactions, majority, regrettably, were sells. But then again, there was a lot of different circumstances that was happening. So you had shorts returning today, so that added buying pressure. And just naturally, with the news that came out this morning, algorithmic trading was propelling a lot of stocks higher. So that kind of offset a lot of the selling that was happening. There was a couple good buys first thing. One was 1.3 million, but still majority was sells. No actual news from SoFi itself, official news. There was this that was posted on Twitter or X by Anthony saying that there's 33 million small businesses across the US, and that's why they're excited to share that SoFi is launching business, banking, and financing options through partnerships to better serve entrepreneurs. And so I think in general, that's a good thing. That's been something that they've been kind of alluding to quite a lot in their last earnings. And I think this is a very big opportunity for SoFi to really flourish. So in general, that's a good thing. What really propelled the market higher though today was the jobless claims. So initial jobless claims coming in a little bit lower, so 233 versus a forecast of 241. So kind of like messing up, I guess, the bears mentality, because last week there was initial jobless claims coming in hotter. You also had payroll significantly lower. So obviously that's what spooked a lot of the broader market. Plus you had kind of escalations coming from the Middle East. So that might actually affect possibly Friday. So during power hour, you might see a little bit more of a pullback as people try to just mitigate just in case there is something that happens over the weekend. Obviously, a lot of people might not want to hold just in case something does happen again. So just kind of anticipate a lot of volatility tomorrow. But aside from that, though, I think all in all, the market is somewhat normalizing, because you do see, based on the September 18th meeting, you don't see any likelihood of a 75 basis point cut. And this has gone down, so a 50 basis point cut from around 80% to now a 56.5% likelihood. So the market is somewhat calming from Thursday and Friday's massive panic selling, even technically on Tuesday as well. And so right now there is a 43.5% likelihood of a 25 basis point cut. So again, the market is somewhat being a little bit more level-headed based on positive data that came out today. So once again, that's something to consider. Like I've already mentioned, shorts did return a little bit, so 762,000. Keep in mind that is net. So I'll go over what they did throughout the day, but 16.6% of the free float is being shorted, works out to be 173.78 million shares overall are being shorted. Cost of our average 0.83%, utilization 51.58, and then short score. So the higher the number, the higher the likelihood of a squeeze happening is 71.2. Just looking at the teal line right here, for the most part, they were just returning throughout the whole day. And so again, by them returning, they are adding buying pressure. And so of course that's kind of aided in it going up alongside just algorithmic trading. So I think all in all, that is a fairly good thing. Looking at options today, 3.26 million in calls, 1.09 million in puts. 51% of all the options being done today were optimistic and bullish. This is the current open interest. So we already do know typically come Friday, this is where there's a lot of manipulation. So 1,000 at that $6 strike price, 12,000 at $6.50, 33,000 at $7, and then 22,000 at $7.50. So if there is a pullback tomorrow, just watch for $6.50. That's obviously going to be one point where market makers and shorts might want to suppress it. But then again, 12,000 only equates to 1.2 million shares, which isn't all of that much. Take that with a grain of salt, of course, but to market makers and big money, that's kind of chump change. So they might not really try to suppress it to 650 or sub 650. So that might be a good indication that SoFi might be able to run up going into, I guess, Friday and hopefully into next week, because already looking into next week, which is a monthly chain, so very high volume already. You do see 33,000 at that 7, 22,000 at the 750, 41,000 at that 8. So next week might be a little bit problematic, but that's next week's problem. As of right now, with it closing at 664, it is trading between this S1 and the pivot. So 707 will be that next strong target / resistance, and then 655 will be that next strong support, which kind of did break below that a little bit, but then again, I think right now there is a lot of good momentum in the broader market. And on the actual chart itself, still lower percentile of the boiling band, still below the 50-day moving average. Stochastic, you do see it rather oversold, so this is why you did, and most likely if it does continue, you'll see a rush of value investors getting in on SoFi, similar to a lot of other stocks, such as even like Palantir went up like double digit, Virgin Galactic double digit, then ChargePoint. So in my opinion, SoFi should have really been double digit as well, but whatever, it is what it is. So as far as going into tomorrow, watch for it to get above that 50-day moving average, so that definitely is going to be a key pivot for SoFi. And one thing as well, I just wanted to quickly pop over and give you an overview. There was one new analyst rating that came out, $7 price target, KBW, Tim, who has a 55% success rating. So I think that's generally good. And so as of right now, consensus of all the ratings, even incorporating a lot of the bearish ones, so 4, 6, and 4, $8.27 is the consensus, and that does represent a 24.55% upside. So again, I see a lot more upside when it comes down to Palantir. Let's see if Wall Street does agree. But going back to the chart itself, you did see number of retail investors starting to buy the dip. So if you're one of those individuals that bought the dip with SoFi over the last 2 days or 3 days, give yourself a shout out in the comments below. Or have you been dabbling with options? Like I've said, very volatile stocks such as SoFi and many others. Options is a dream for anyone wanting to collect some additional premiums and whatever else. So don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. My apologies on the timeliness of this video, as well as not doing a SoFi video yesterday, having to paint and do all that other fun stuff in the rental. So the kind of tenants moved out, so I have to do all that fun stuff, and I'm not that handy when it comes down to painting, so things are relatively slow. So if you guys have any tips on painting and all that other crap that I'm not good at, throw some tips in the description below, because it took me one wall a good hour. Probably that's not the best. So again, I digress. With all that, appreciate all of you guys watching though.